Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. I've put together the rest of the clips from watering round the pots, and a couple of problems were found while I was going round, and I've stuck the solutions on the end of this video. So yeah, follow it through to see what happens. You know, with this number of orchids there's going to be problems. It's just a matter of spotting them and dealing with them. So there we go. There are times when you pick a pot up and you just go, oh no. And I've just done it with this one. I'll show you why. This is the one with the unusual name. It's a Hamiltonara, something like that anyway. And it's an Odontoglossum type orchid, along those lines. So, you know, a cooler growing one. But the plant looks good until you pick the pot up. There can't be a root system under that piece of the plant. It's just hanging on the edge. It's just leaning on the edge of the pot. And this arrived as two plants in the same pot. Well, two for the price of one. I'm quite happy with that. The other part of the plant is also wobbling as I move the pot, and that one has a new growth coming in there. Now, I don't know at what point new roots are going to come out, but some of the roots I can see that are aerial do have growing tips. So despite the time of year, I've got to deal with this. If every time I pick that up it wobbles, it's not going to get any better, is it? So I'm going to have to put that to one side and repot that, much to my annoyance. I don't like repotting this time of year. Although, if it's got a lot of Odontoglossum in it, it's a cool grower. So the cool temperatures in here are not setting it back. They're not hurting it. It's probably happier now than it would be in the summer. And a lot of the cool growing plants, repotting them in late spring is not a good idea, because they go straight into the summer with heat, which they don't like. You've already set them back possibly an amount by repotting them, and then you're putting them under stress with the heat. That's not a good time to do them. Autumn would probably be better, and in this case middle of flipping winter, but it's got to be done. This is my hardest shelf to film, depending on which plant I'm filming, because the plants that have still got trays on them are the ones that dry out fine without any help. So I'm quite happy for them to have their drip trays. Those that don't have drip trays I put on that grill, so that they can drain off and drip before I put them back above other plants. But the ones that are in trays I load up here. Now, I've now got nowhere to film because I've run out of space there, and yeah. So I just wanted to do a quick update on this. This is my Shelob Tolkien, and this is having a bit of a spurt at the moment, and sometimes the best laid plans don't work. I left space for new growths around here. Well, it's decided to push them out in different places, so they're going to be quite near the edge. But they've got room, they're not squashed. So we've got one here, two good strong new growths pushing up there, at roughly the same stage. So both of those should bloom around the same time, hopefully two spikes together. And then there are some more somewhere. Oh yeah, there's another little one here. And then there's this one, which is nearer the centre of the plant. See, both of these have both got room to grow, so the plan wasn't a total failure. All the new growths have got somewhere to be. This was repotted during last year, so it can stay in its pot all of the next growing season. It'll be fine. But this growth's pushing on faster than the others. That was the first one, so that'll be the first one to bloom. Followed by those two, followed by this shirker who's lagging behind. But so far this one has never failed. So right, that's not suitable to put a plant on. Perhaps I better not do that. Yeah, every single new growth this one has put up since I've had it has bloomed. So this is a good, strong grower, reliable bloomer, smashing blooms, highly recommended. That's a Miltassia Shelob Tolkien. Brassica type blooms, but dark. Now this one is my forgotten Nobly, and why it's forgotten is because at this time of year it's not doing anything. It's so far bloomed in the summer, so it's a strange one. has much thinner canes than a lot of other Noblies. That's probably something that's in the makeup of this hybrid. It tends to have the very narrow base and swells as the cane gets towards the top. But that pushed on 1, 2, I'm not 3, 4, 5 new canes last year. So that, in theory, that's the place where the blooms will be later next year, basically. As I said, so far it's a summer bloomer. Comes out at an odd time. And as a consequence, this time of year, there's no sign of buds or anything. And quite honestly, the canes are still growing. So that's just had a good soak. Which I wouldn't normally do with a Nobly. But I'm having to do it with this one. This one's in active growth as far as blooming is concerned. I don't want those blooms to totally drain the plant, so it's getting fed and watered, you know, and then hopefully the new growths will push up soon. And the other Nobly, again, it's a mass of buds. Well, it needs a bit of something in the bottom to push that, so that one just gets... Because that's doing a normal Nobly thing, it should be having a sort of rest in the winter. I don't rest mine as such. I reduce the feed right down, but they still get a trickle of water. That's all I've ever done for them. And quite honestly, they've never had any form of rest and they bloom their heads off. So why make the plant stressed when it doesn't need it? It blooms fine without that dryness in the winter. So I keep these just ticking over. Well, that's a mass of buds at the moment. That's doing the normal Nobly hybrid thing. Whereas that one is an oddity. It is a Nobly type. Quite a complex one. And lovely delicate yellow flowers. So I do like it, but it blooms at an odd time. It could be a seasonal adjustment and it might gradually move back to sort of late spring and then acclimatise itself, but so far it's always bloomed in the summer. An odd one. Another disaster. I like to show these. I don't only show the good stuff. There is no logical reason for this, but the new growth on this one has totally collapsed. That's completely rotted, and that is a type of wet rot. So that's got to go straight out and be cut back to the base of that bulb. I will probably spray the plant with a fungicide and try and get some down on some of the roots to get a fungicide in there, and put some cinnamon on the actual joint where I cut. But that's the complete collapse of the latest new growth. As a recovering plant, I mean, it pushed up this growth, which wasn't too bad, not as large as the oldest one, but then when it pushed up another new growth, I thought, oh, it's doing well. Yeah, well, now it's not. I've got 2 of these, and the other one, the new growth's pushing on really strong. But that one's, you know, since that was last watered, that growth has completely collapsed. That's had it. It's got to come off. Or dropped a leaf as soon as I touched it. So, yep, immediate surgery required. Having just got this Nellie Isla down to water, I normally like my spikes to arch, but because of where this one lives and where it will be when it comes into flower, I need that spike upright or it's just going to be in the way. So I'm going to tie that one. So that'll take up far less space now. That's just a loose tie. I was lucky, there was a stake already there from when I repotted it to hold the plant still. So a nice stake to put a base round, good knot, loose tie. Yeah, there's nothing wrapped that can strangulate that spike or anything. It's just loosely holding it to keep it upright. And hopefully I've caught it before the aspect of most of those buds has actually formed. The aspect certainly won't have formed in these. It may have done on these. So we may get some sideways or upside down blooms, but it's the colour on these that I'm after. Well, hopefully, if it doesn't blast. Anyway, as a Nellie Isla, that's not bad. When I got it, it had 2 spikes on that growth. And the growth that it's now blooming on is far inferior to the previous growths, but at least it's got a spike. And this bulb carried on maturing after the spikes had finished, so I would suggest this bulb is actually going to get bigger. It's not finished yet. And yeah, and then we'll be looking for another new growth, and preferably 2 this time. but at least it's not dead. I've not had a lot of luck with Nellie Islas, but this one seems to be hanging in there. I've changed my mind. The couple of problem orchids, the Hamiltonara and the Alicera, as it was, I think I forgot to say, the solutions to those effectively make a nice self-contained video, so I'm going to do those as a separate video. So I'll end this one. Just a little set of short clips as I was going round. Often the way I do my videos, so you will see more along those lines. So see you next time. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.